How we doing, everyone? Sam here from United People's TV, here with a bit of a reaction video for you, because obviously some big news broke yesterday. We wanted to wait for it to develop to see what actually happened, but Bastian Schweinsteiger is back training with Manchester United's first team after a 2-month exodus. You know, he was completely frozen out of first team training by Jose Mourinho, but he's now back in first team training. He trained with the players on Monday ahead of our game against Fenerbahce away on Thursday. And what do I think of it? Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, as always. But I'm not really sure why he was frozen out in the first place. I understand if Jose Mourinho didn't want Schweinsteiger in his squad and he tried to sell him and he couldn't sell him, and that was the reason why he was frozen out. But then you see Ander Herrera getting suspended, and now all of a sudden Bastian Schweinsteiger is back in the team. Is that the reason he's back in the squad? I'm not sure, but if that is the reason, then it all seems a little bit fickle that Schweinsteiger was ever left out of the first team in the first place. But I'm happy that he's back in the team. I said at the start of the season that I felt Michael Carrick is excellent in his own right, and Bastian Schweinsteiger is a far better alternative to Michael Carrick than Marouane Fellaini is. We saw Marouane Fellaini get plenty of game time at the start of the season. Why couldn't that have been Schweinsteiger? Why did Jose Mourinho freeze him out? He's never really fully explained it. You've got Schweinsteiger's in the Premier League squad for Man United, but he's not in the Europa League squad. And he can't play against Fenerbahce on Thursday, which makes it a little bit more confusing that the week he comes back is the week we're playing in the Europa League, which he can't play in. But I love Schweinsteiger. I see no reason why he wasn't in and around that first team squad. A squad which is still lacking leadership. A squad which is still lacking experience. And there is no more experienced player in that squad than Schweinsteiger, really. Obviously you've got Zlatan Ibrahimovic, you've got Wayne Rooney, but Schweinsteiger has won the World Cup, won the Euros, won the Champions League, won the Bundesliga. He's won pretty much everything he could have won up until the point where he came to Manchester United as a player. And having those sorts of players in and around your team, we saw Luke Shaw getting interviewed yesterday at when we were fucking launching the bed and pillow sponsorship, but he was saying that Schweinsteiger, having him back is going to be such a positive influence for himself and the younger players in that team. And you saw the fan reaction yesterday. Everybody was buzzing to have Schweinsteiger back because they remember that Deutsche Fußballmeister that used to be at Bayern Munich, the one we haven't really seen so far at Man United. But if you've got somebody who's on 200k plus a week, why wouldn't you have him in and around your first team, especially if you're... Do you think that's the reason? That's a very... is more madness, for Mourinho, for all the things he's done right, there's plenty of questionable decisions he's done in using players at certain times. Obviously taking Mata off against Burnley is the latest example of a madness there, but I don't really understand why Fellaini was ever playing for Man United ahead of Schweinsteiger, because Fellaini was operating in a midfield role which was very disciplined, didn't have to move much. All he had to do was try and break up the play and pass the ball to somebody else. Fellaini cannot do that any better than Schweinsteiger, and Schweinsteiger as a player is so more rounded and accomplished than Fellaini. And I think having him in that midfield instead would have been a far better idea at the start of the season. But Fellaini was playing well at that point. K. Juma saying, great to have him back, I'm happy. I know he will add something in our midfield. He could be the best alternative after Carrick, and that's something that I'm reiterating. I feel that if we do need an alternative to Carrick, Schweinsteiger is a better option than Fellaini. And that was the case at the start of the season. So in that idea, I don't know why Schweinsteiger was ever frozen out in the first place. Joe, I completely understand when a manager doesn't want a player in his team. A new manager comes in, doesn't always like every player in the squad. That happens in football. So it's not strange to see that happening. But what I can't really get my head around is how all of a sudden Schweinsteiger's back in training. Everything seems hunky-dory. Have Jose and Schweinsteiger solve their differences? Is he just coming back in because Ander Herrera is suspended? Is he just coming back in because Jose wants to sell him in January? There's a couple of alternatives of what it could be. I hope that it's just the fact that they've settled their differences, they've got that past them, and that the Schweinsteiger can be a part of this squad for this season, because there'll be options in games where he can make a difference. He hasn't lost his quality, he's lost his edge, he's lost some fitness, he's lost a bit of pace, but that happens in age. It doesn't mean that you lose your quality and your class, just like Scholes never did. I don't think Schweinsteiger ever will. And his influence on the dressing room can be massive. I really genuinely think that. A couple of comments here, one from Jordan saying there are rumours he is being trained to get fit and then sold in January. Makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me either. And I'm not sure Schweinsteiger would be too happy about that either. But I suppose he's just happy that he's not frozen out anymore and he's back in and around that first team. Comment here from Stanislaura. Carrick and Schweinsteiger interchangeable. They are plus class, the pair of them, but getting on, switching the two will work out well for us. You know, Carrick can't play every game. That's why Mourinho's not playing him every game, and neither can Schweinsteiger. So I do agree that interchanging those two in a midfield three of either Carrick and Schweinsteiger with Herrera and Pogba, that's a cracking midfield three. A dynamic midfield three that's got alternatives, different players that play different types of positions. And if you play Schweinsteiger in a defensive midfield role where he hasn't got to do too much running, his main job is to sweep in front of the back four and protect that defence and simply pass the ball to Herrera or Pogba for them to do the running, then we'll get the most out of him. If we try and play him like Louis van Gaal did at Arsenal away last season, when he was playing in a running midfield role and chasing Aaron Ramsey's tail the entire game, then he's going to get embarrassed and he's not going to be any use to us. Mourinho's got to use him and use him correctly if he uses him at all. A comment here from Jason saying Fellaini is good when it comes to aggression, but Bastian has that and more, like distribution of the ball forward. And ball distribution is a main thing for a defensive midfielder, past the fact you've got to actually get possession back. Fellaini's never really had that in his tank. Yes, he's aggressive. Yes, he's coming up for set pieces, but if we're having 30 plus corners against Stoke and Burnley and we're not scoring, then aggression isn't really something that we're very good at. Maybe that is why Fellaini's coming into this team, and you can see the strengths of Fellaini, but I can just see so much more with Bastian Schweinsteiger, and I would much rather see him in that team than Fellaini in it. And that is against Fellaini because I just don't really like him as a player. I feel that he's never been a Man United player. He's a relic of David Moyes, which is still haunting the club, and he will be sold at some point, but managers seem to like him. I think he does a job. If a manager tells him to jump off the cliff, he'll jump off the cliff. I feel he's that sort of player, which is why managers seem to get along with him. Duncan Walters here saying, have Herrera and Bastian sitting back, giving Pogba the freedom to move forward. Pogba would like that, but playing two defensive midfielders, I'm not sure that's going to be the best solution for United. I would rather like see Herrera and Pogba both moving up and down the pitch, with Bastian being the only one that's sitting. Final comment here from Kim Lim, since Herrera is on a red, Pogba and Bastian would be perfect. I don't think we're going to see Bastian against Swansea, but he's back in and around the team now, so that can only be a good thing. Let me know in the comments below whether you think that Schweinsteiger will play for Man United this season, or whether him being brought back is simply a PR symbolic move, or is he being brought back so he's fit to be sold? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below, but for me, I'm just happy to see Deutsche Fußballmeister back in the squad. I think he can do something for United this season, and I don't think he should ever been frozen out in the first place, but I understand if Jose didn't want him in his squad, but now things seem to have changed. Drop a like on the video, everybody. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for your comments, and we'll see you soon, obviously with the Fenerbahce preview, Fenerbahce predicted 11 and lots more, so make sure you keep checking it out. We'll see you soon.